Hi folks, this is Karl-James Langford on channel 01-1975. This is the weekend of the 19th and 20th of March 2015. Thanks to John, I'm using his Canon video camera today to record this video log. It's been one of those weekends that been spending time with my children, which is obviously very important to them and to me, that contact, and I always think that's really important to not miss that. And it's been a weekend where I've been doing some acting, workshop with my daughter, which was really positive. And for those of you who have been watching the news, it's the weekend for Richard III and his bones being taken to Leicester Cathedral. I'd like to say that before we get on to Richard III's bones, that's the reason for this video log today, that I probably realise that the path that I'm going on with the acting is the right path again in this workshop, being told not to get distracted. Because probably the main problem of my life is that I've always been good with things, but then I've got distracted and whatever I'm doing is falling apart. And so I've had at least 3 people now, starting off with Brendan, sending me a link about production in Ireland. And now it's all over the internet. I can tell you it was for the series called The Vikings, and the link itself was sent to me by Brendan so that some of my students could actually go over to Ireland and audition, and maybe my daughter as well. And but I spoke to somebody else at the workshop on Saturday, and it's right that I don't go to Ireland and audition to be an extra in this production, because obviously there are things happening in the pipeline for me and I just need to keep going with them and be focused on it. And talking about focus, weirdly enough, that leads me into Richard III. Now, when the discovery of Richard III's bones became public 3 years ago, or just over that, I was in an archaeology class, and my students said that they found the bones of Richard III. Well, I'm actually a former student of Leicester University, got a postgraduate diploma from them. And I turned around and said to everybody, the university had known for a long time that they were definitely the bones of Richard III, because they wouldn't make the mistake that many universities have done, saying that they found something important and had complete egg on their faces and seemed to be extremely stupid. But up until today, when I'm recording this Sunday the 20th of March, I'd been distracted by that. And I actually started to see the detail while I was waiting for my daughter to get back to her grandmother's today. My grandmother, well, my mother-in-law said, "Why did you watch this thing about Richard III?" So I did. And actually I just realised something, that that the detail is actually in what happened today. That there were 40, 50,000 people crowding the streets of Leicester, and they were quite proud. You could see it in their faces, the interviews, that a link with history was coming home, even though it had been yards away from the cathedral that the body was being buried in. Grey Friars, Franciscan friary, being interred with all the ceremonies required for a king of the great land that we live in today. And everything that I've been saying to my students is that in Britain, we've lost the link between our past and us. So we dig up our burial grounds and we don't care about the bodies and stuff. But on this occasion, for once, British archaeologists have taken this issue very seriously, and it's connected the people with somebody who passed away in 1485 at the Battle of Bosworth. Why is that important? Because with the past you have a future, and to be reconnected with that past is to know who we are and to identify where we are and where we go next. And it wasn't strange that some of the people interviewed were from the Sikh community, who said actually Richard III was a warring king like the Sikh peoples of the time. But the Sikhs were very advanced in their ways of looking at the rights of the common man and woman. And this was Richard III, so they could link with this. Amazing, eh? That we got Sikh communities saying that. And they're very British. Doesn't need to take religions for people to talk about something like that. And then I realised then the link between all this and why I became an archaeologist and why I became an actor. I linked with all this in my classes that I've been teaching. The link between the classes that I've been teaching is to say that we've got to stop excavating the archaeology and understand it more, and to focus in on it, and to have a link with the past. A link with the past. We don't end up blowing up the statues like ISIS is doing in Iraq and Syria. And we wouldn't have people metal detecting, destroying our archaeological sites if they really believed it was precious to them. Like the people of Denmark feel that their history and archaeology is precious to them. And they don't do all those heinous things that we see in Britain with metal detecting and the destruction of the archaeology here and the blowing up of the archaeology in Syria and Iraq. The point to be made here, without anyone getting very angry and start slagging me off and putting horrible messages on the YouTube diary that this is about, is to say that the remains of Richard III have been researched and researched. Just a small set of remains, nothing more. But they were everything more. And how you could build up and have so many professionals involved in just one body. Can't do that with every archaeological remains. But I see a glimmer of light amongst all the crap that I'm seeing in archaeology, that let's stop now digging all those holes. Let's stop researching silly sites. We've got a site that people are looking in locally called Caira Hill Fort. Who gives a damn what's at the hill fort at the end of the day, when we've got so much archaeology in boxes, so much geophys, aerial photography to look at, and we keep finding more and more stuff to research to keep the public happy. But the real detail is in this, is that the body of Richard III was found, and it's kept public interest for 3 years. Nothing more has been excavated from that body since the discovery, but kept people interested for 3 years because they've researched it and researched it. What's stopping somebody taking something out of the ground and finding everything about it? Taking something out of the ground that's been as a reaction to a building development, not deliberately taking something out for the sake of archaeology digging holes. But take that aside. All those museums with millions and millions of boxes of finds. Let's start taking that stuff out, really looking at it, really analysing it, really getting the public involved, their imaginations. taking that leap from the 90-degree off to the 45-degree angle, and really researching what we've got in those boxes and not finding any more, because we don't need to find any more, because we've got to understand what we've got in those boxes. There's so much in museums out there that have been in boxes for decade after decade, and that's what we need to start looking at. That real stuff. This is why people are interested in family tree history. They're not digging things from the ground. They're looking at records and stuff that's already tangible. And through those tangible facts that we don't need to take out of the ground because we've already got with millions of boxes in museums, let's start looking at that. And then the message from Richard III will come alive, and those links that we had with the past will be reinstated. Instead of keeping digging and digging and digging, and none of those links are there because we keep finding more and more and more. None of it makes sense. So let's make sense of what we've got. Hopefully this video log's been of use, and thanks for watching this video log, folks. This is Karl-James Langford for my video log. And a beautiful summer day in March. Thank you.